Okay, and welcome class to this video. We are going to be looking at the pages 403 through 412. It's the first chapter of the Excel section of your textbook. We're going to try a little bit of the video format, specifically with the exercise information pages, because I feel like some of you are reading it and there's a disconnect there. So hopefully you following along with your textbook and watching this video will help to clarify. And I'm just going to go through and quickly emphasize some key things in the pages. I'm not going to read through everything with you, so hopefully that'll help. Now, one of the first things you need to learn here with Excel is that it is for organizing, calculating, and evaluating data, which is important skills that you need. So we can see that on page 404 it's talking about. And so you use the spreadsheet mainly if you have a bunch of data, if you have a list of people, if you have numbers associated with that, how many people come to something, how many things are bought. All those different things you would use an Excel spreadsheet for. So that's why we are using it. And it's very important for its learning. This is actually what made computers popular when they first started, was their organizing capabilities, because they could do a lot of things, maybe not better than humans at the time, but definitely a lot. It was reaching a point where eventually it would be a lot faster. And so computers can do a lot of things faster than we can now, even too. It's still important. We should learn a lot of things, but there's a lot we can use technology to at least help us to complete and do. And so let's take a look at Excel. Now, something very important here is understanding the difference between an Excel spreadsheet, or excuse me, a worksheet, and a workbook. A workbook is your file. So you can see here I have my mouse, the cursor, over blank workbook. And I can click on it, select it, and I can see my worksheet. The worksheet is this you're working on inside of the Excel document. The workbook is the file itself. Make sure you understand the difference. Alright, I'm going to jump over to page 405. We're going to quickly go through these elements it's talking about. I'm going to point them out on the screen, kind of explain a little bit what they do to help clarify it for you, so that way you're ready to go for exercise, hands-on exercise number 1. On page 413. Name box is right over here in the top. It tells me what the insertion point is. So I have my columns up here, which are all letters, and then I have my rows down here, which are all numbers. And I have each cell, which is what these fields are right here. Each cell, when I click on it, changes to the active cell, and my insertion point, where the column and row meet, changes. And over here is the name box. Now, if I want, it'll tell me the cell I clicked on, or I can type in here a cell intersection here, and it'll go to it. So let's say B6, and I press enter, and it goes to it for me just like that by clicking in here and typing it. So very useful tool. So name box up here, if I'm typing stuff in to my cell, which I can click and start typing, or on the cell, or I can click up here after I click on it and start typing here, you can see I have my enter button, which will make it go into the cell, or my cancel, which will make it change to what it was previously before I start typing, or my insert function button, which you use a little bit in Microsoft Word. We're going to use a lot more for this because we're going to be working with a lot more data, numbers. So when I click on it, a box comes up like this. I can tell it what I want to do and press go, and it'll tell me which ones it thinks I should use. These are just a selection of some right here that I could possibly use. But the nice thing with Excel, sometimes you know what you want to do, but you don't know which formula, and so that's why it gives you the option to tell what you want to do. So I have insert function. This right up here is called your formula bar. That's where I could type it in, or things I type go in here. Like I said, we're just breezing through this quickly. Next, I have my select all tool. If I want to select everything, all the different cells, I can just go up here and click on this, or I could click in my document and hold down Control and press A. Very simple thing to do there. And then my next one is, I already talked about column and row headings, which is next in the list. Columns are letters, and they go up and down. So columns are marked by letters. Rows are left and right, and they go by numbers. Something to remember. Active cell. Basically, it's a cell you clicked on, you're typing in. You can see there's that green border around it right here on the screen. So active cell, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And then we also have our sheet tab, which is down here. So each sheet will have a tab. So if I create a new sheet, which this is the new sheet button right here, I can navigate between the two by clicking on the tab. So you notice my one page is zoomed in and my one page is zoomed out. So each page is different. It won't affect the other ones. Really good tool there. And then we have our status bar. This one will tell you what's going on with it. So for instance, it's ready. If I were to copy the tab, or excuse me, the cell, it'll tell me, all right, next thing to do is select the destination, push enter, or choose paste. So watch, I can push enter or choose paste, and it pastes it for me just like that. So status bar is great if you're like, what do I do next? It can sometimes tell you. View controls, I have over here the different types. This is normal view, so it displays it like this, all my cells without margins, anything like that. I have my page layout, which includes headers and shows me how it would print. This is nice if you want to see, okay, how is it going to look when I print the page? This is exactly it right here. And then I also have my page break preview, and so you can preview any page breaks you may have in it, which we don't have any, so at this point it's not really going to be too useful. Now the rest of the pages kind of talk about some of the things we already did. When we click on a cell and it's active, it's the intersection where a column and a row meet, and that's why it's up in the name box. So basically there, if you type inside of a box, and you can do that either by clicking up in the formula bar and entering text that way, or clicking down here and just typing it in, it'll show up in both places. You'll notice if I keep typing, it goes to the next cells, but if I click on this cell after I put in the data, it doesn't show up because I have to go to the original cell. So keep that in mind as you're working on the file. So entering and editing it, important things there we'll talk about. On page 407 at the top, you can see keystrokes and actions. With Excel, a lot of times you're using your keyboard a lot more than Microsoft Word. I can use my arrow keys to navigate. So you can see I'm just pressing a bunch of arrows and moving the active cell around. I can hold down, just press it, go to other pages. Nice thing with Excel, if you want to just keep going, it's like Microsoft Word. You add a page, you keep on typing, it'll keep adding more and more. Right now I only have one page because that's the active one. The rest, if I want, I can click, add data to it, it'll make it bigger. You can use the page up tools, page down, home, control end, all those different things help you. I'm not going to talk about those. If you want to look through it, which I would recommend you do, read through that by yourself. Then it has plan a worksheet design. And a lot of the times with the exercise, it's going to tell you that. Like, okay, you want to think ahead. What are you putting in the worksheet for? What is the purpose of the worksheet? That's your first step. Then decide, number 2, what outputs are needed to achieve the purpose of your worksheet. What do you need to put in there to get your results? And then decide what you need to put, what your input values are to create the output. So output would be your formula answer. Input would be what are those values. Then you enter labels, values, and formulas in Excel, as I just said. Then you format numerical values in the worksheet, and then format descriptive titles and labels. And this is going to make sense a little bit more, or actually a lot more, as you work through the other exercises. So you can read through this. I'm not going to talk through all of it. And then, of course, document the workbook as thoroughly as possible. The more the better, especially in Excel. And then save and share your completed workbook. And then it talks about different things you can do. You can enter text, which you saw me do. You just click and start typing, or you click on the cell, click up here, and you can start typing. And when you're done with it, you either click on this one or push enter button on your keyboard. I would recommend the enter button. It'll be a whole lot faster for you. Now the nice thing is if you type something once and you want to type it again, it'll do autofill. So if you see me type this, so I'm just actually going to type it, let's do it once. So ASDF, and you can see it starts to autofill. It formatted, type the letter A, puts it in. So that can be helpful in saving time. That's what computers, a big thing, is completing a goal in the least amount of time as possible. Don't take the long round with the computer, the long way around, take the short way around. So I can do autofill that way. Something else that's nice over on page 410 is I can do a fill series. So I can type in one thing, say I type in a number, and I can click on this little corner down here, hold down my mouse button, and drag it. I can go up and down, left or right. I'm going to go column this way, and it'll make it fill in with the same thing in each cell, whichever ones I select. If I want, I can make it use the fill series here, so I copy the cells. Now I'm doing a fill series where it actually makes it a set of numbers. Or I could type in a month and click on it, and it will go and fill in all the different months. So there's really a lot of different things you can do to save time if you use the right thing. So that's what we're talking about. So you can enter text, you can enter values. When it's talking about values, you're basically entering in numbers. So data for that. Then there's also dates and times it talks about, which you can use fill series for. And then on page 412, it talks about how to edit and clear documents. There's a couple ways to do it. You can click on it, start typing, and it gets rid of what is in the cell. And of course, that's what each of these little fields, these boxes are called. Or double click on it, and wherever you double click, it'll put the insertion point, and you can edit that way. Or click on the cell and click up in the formula bar, and you can do it like that. So a lot of different ways to do it. Using the exercise, it'll tell you a specific way. Sometimes it leaves it up to you. By the end of this, I'm sure you'll probably have a preferred way of doing it. And then last but not least, it talks about clearing it. You can do a couple of ways. I can just click on a cell, press delete or backspace, and it'll get rid of it just like that. Or I can click over here on clear and select clear all, and whichever cells I have selected will do that. So, and I can even do clear formats, clear contents, clear comments, all these different options for you to use. So that's a quick overview, a quick look at our first pages here of the chapter, the instructions. So I want you to watch this video, and that hopefully will help pull out some of those ideas for you. And now what you can do is go over to page 413. Hopefully you're already there, and start working on hands-on exercise number 1. Now this is a new chapter, so you have to make sure you go on Plus Portals and download the Excel exercise data files. Make sure you get the Excel ones, not Microsoft Word. So I'm planning on taking those off of Plus Portals, the Word ones, but they may still be there. So make sure you're looking to see. So go ahead and get started with that exercise. Hopefully this video was helpful to you.